Kia ora tātou. I'm Catherine George. I currently work at Auckland Council. I'm a regional funding advisor there. So I work with looking after our regional arts and culture grants program and the Creative Communities Scheme, which is a partnership with Creative New Zealand. I have worked in grant making for a long time. I've worked either as an assessor or an advisor, as well as at council. I've worked with Foundation North and Creative New Zealand and the Lottery Grants Board. So I've got quite a wide range of experience with different kinds of grants. I also have a bit of experience on the flip side of that. I worked for a couple of years with Q Theatre in Auckland, doing fundraising and development there. So I know how hard it can be to put in funding applications. Before you start preparing your budget, it is really important. There are two really key things, I think, to have ready. You need to have a clear plan for your project. You need to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, so that you really have a good understanding of what the costs of your project are. You need to align your budget with your project. The project, all of those costs need to be reflected in the budget. The second really key thing you need to do before starting your budget is look at who you're applying for funding to. You can go to a funder's website and find out what their criteria is. Whoever you're applying to, you need to check their guidelines because they can always be a little bit different. You need to find out what costs are eligible for the funder that you're going to. You need to find out what their criteria for funding is. Why will they want to give you money? And what will they want to give it to you for? A couple of other things you'll need to find out from them is if they have funding caps. Is there a cap on the level of funding that you're allowed to apply for? And also, some funders for projects, usually for bigger capital projects, have matched funding. So you have to have raised some money before you even apply. So all of those things, go to the website and check what their guidelines are. So the two things, know your project and know your funder. Key things that we expect to see in a budget is that there are specific, clear costs that cover everything in your project. These costs need to be realistic. You don't want to underplay the project because then a funder will look at it and look at your project and go, well, but how are they funding this part? How are they funding this part? You need to make sure that your budget is clear and realistic. Don't apply for less than you need, but also don't apply for more than you need, thinking, oh, they're going to cut the grant anyway. Just really make sure that it's clear and back up the lines of your budget where you can, either with quotes or with other notes that you can provide saying how you know that that's a good and realistic cost that's in your budget line. Also, make sure that you include in your budget any income that you've got that is specifically available for this project and what you're going to use it for. So, income might be grants from other funders, it might be fees from your members, it might be ticket sales to an event. You need to put that in and make it clear what you're going to use it for. Also, something that people can sometimes overlook is put in anything that you're getting for free for your project that has a clear value. Make sure that, say, you're getting some venue hire that normally would cost something, but it's being donated to you for free. Put that in the costs of your project and in your income. Make sure that both the costs and the income things balance out. Funders are all different. So, for what things are funded and not, I would always say go and look at the guidelines. But something that in general funders would not fund is retrospective funding. That means costs that you've already got before the date of the decision on the grant. So that's called retrospective funding or debt servicing. So it's really important that you know the timeline of your project and when you're going to get a decision, and that you're only looking for costs that are after that time and only asking for costs that are after that time. So pretty much all funders won't fund retrospective funding. Otherwise, it really is on a case by case basis. A lot of funders won't fund, for example, international travel or projects with a very clear religious or political bent, but every fund is different. So I would say just check out the website and they'll have a list of eligible costs and things that they won't fund. Some final advice would be that budgets are a really useful tool for your project. Do it early, work out your budget early on, and update it as you go along as you need to. It can be really helpful. I've heard this from lots of people applying for funding, that sitting there and getting down the budget on paper can really help them think about the project, about things that they might have missed, costs that they might have missed, or things that, oh, we might be able to use XYZ for this, or hey, this person might be able to help us. So do the budgeting early. Use online resources. There are lots of good online resources with budget templates. Make sure you're using New Zealand resources, not overseas ones, because they'll be really different. And New Zealand ones will look at things like including GST. With your budgets, just be really realistic, clear, and concise, and back them up with evidence in the form of either quotes or notes. And I think the last thing would be to, if you're able to and you have questions, reach out to the funders, send an email, ask a question. If you've got things that are really bugging you, it's probably better to get it sorted out earlier on than just guess and put something in. Funders are there to help you. And so I would just say reach out to them if you can, and good luck with your project.